Bitcoin could still reach the 69 to 72K area and reach our resistance band here on the daily time frame. In this video, I want to show you why and what the wave structure says. Elliott Wave is the model that we use here for market analysis. It has guided us really, really well in this bear market, especially. I mean, this bear market really worked out, I could say, nearly flawlessly. Of course, at some point, probably the scenario will change, but so far, this bear market has not only followed the Elliott Wave structures that we discuss here on the channel every single day. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so, if you want to stay up to date with Bitcoin updates. It has also followed very well previous bear market structures. Now, this bear market resembles really well the structure from 2022. I showed it quite often that my view is that the 2026 bear market and the 2022 bear market look very, very similar. And if we look at this structure from the 2022 point of view, I have to remove that initial resistance here. Well, then you see that we have this initial decline. This was a 50% decline into the 2022 January lows, a corrective bounce, and then we had another sell-off. Now, this is also what happened after the bull market high. Price moved to the downside in 3 waves. We had a bounce and then the sell-off. And for me, the main question is, are we now here? Are we now in this bounce here? Or, so here, yeah. Or are we already here? This is, for me, the main question. I don't think there is one answer at this stage. I think it would work best from a structural point of view if we currently were only basically mirroring this bounce here that happened in May 22 and topped in June 22. However, from a timing and seasonality point of view, we should already be in this bounce here. Either way, at least one more low seems likely, which aligns with our currently preferred Elliott Wave count as well, that you see here on the chart in white. Yeah? So when we look at the Bitcoin chart, you see that this here is a wave 1 to the downside, which likely bottomed in July, on the 1st of July. Then we had this wave 2 corrective rally, which was expected. Really, the narrative hasn't changed here. The perspective hasn't changed. The wave count hasn't changed. And therefore, there is no need to change anything right now. But of course, the market has moved from support into resistance. We're now in a decision zone. And this resistance zone between 66,230 and 76,630 is our standard resistance area for wave 2. Wave 2s have certain invalidation points. Yeah, I mean, the invalidation point is the beginning of the wave 1 down. And it is a 5-wave move down, which tells us that the trend is still down. The bounce, hold on, just think the screen is frozen right now. Oops, so screen was frozen just now. I think I'm back. The bounce so far doesn't look finished, so we could still see it stretch a little higher. And you see this band of resistance parameters here. We have the golden ratio level at 72K as important resistance. We've got the yellow line, which is simply a trend line, a structural line. Then we have the blue line, which is the 21-week exponential moving average, which provided resistance, for example, in January. And then we've got in orange here, the 200-day moving average, which provided resistance also throughout this bear market, specifically in May. And that means this entire area around 69 to 72K seems to be a cluster of resistance. But these are nice additional indicators, trend filters. What I'm using primarily, and you know that, is Elliott Wave. And for a wave 2, the resistance zone is defined, and only a decisive break above $76,640 would indicate that something more bullish is playing out. Now, when we use Elliott Wave, we know that every wave has certain support and resistance levels, parameters, rules, and guidelines. And so it's worth to understand these. Yeah. For those of you who want to learn a little bit more about Elliott Wave, I suggest you check out our membership. In the membership, you can join our academy, and our academy can be found in our terminal. Here you can go through really a learning path. You can browse our library. You can watch Elliott Wave course videos, risk management course videos, everything's here included, interactive studies, and also my book, Ripples of Change, which is covering the essentials of the MCO wave method. 10 chapters, 21 charts included, and it gives you a good idea of what's going on and how to understand and read the charts. Okay. So for those of you who wanted to learn, I mean, it's all out there. This is not a, I don't know, a $997 course. No, in fact, it is all part of our standard community membership where we increase the value constantly by adding more educational content, more updates, more analysis, and more opportunity to learn and participate. So that will be helpful for anybody who wants to learn Elliott Wave. But honestly, the chart here hasn't changed. But again, Bitcoin is moving slowly. It's a great time to learn if you want to understand market structure. So what we want to do now is we'll take a look at the shorter time frame as well for Bitcoin. Okay, and this is now the short-term Bitcoin chart, and my goal here is to present to you two different pathways that the market can use to still move higher into that area we just talked about between 69K and 72K, because there seem to be a lot of things that are going on there. A lot of resistances meet there, a lot of interesting parameters. So the first one is, first point I try to make here is that the local trend seems up, and that is still the case. Even though we had some short-term setbacks here, that's normal because it's seen as a counter trend move up from the July low. It is likely not a new trending move to the upside as far as I can tell. I treat it as a corrective move. Now, however, we have a 5-wave move up into the 15th of July high. So 50% of the month, you can say, Bitcoin was just moving higher and was working on this 5-wave move up. A 5-wave move is an indication that the market eventually wants to go higher. So what happened afterwards? We then had a 3-wave decline. You could also say that we might be working on a larger 3-wave decline, but in both wave counts, orange and white, the focus can remain short-term on higher prices. Now, in the very short term, the orange scenario suggests a more directly bullish wave count. I shared already earlier today that we have a 1-2 setup here to the upside, and that as long as this red line is holding at $63,750, Bitcoin might be following the orange scenario, which allows for higher prices more directly. This is a 1-2 setup in orange, which could take the price in the most direct way towards 69K and then possibly 72K. The next objective for the bulls here will be a break above that 66,230 to 66,290 resistance area. And the nano support or micro support levels, which are relevant here, the micro support levels, especially here this orange support area, they are defined between $64,150 and $64,700. Yeah, we don't need the upper section here. So as long as micro support is holding upper support, the orange count has a chance, and it will be confirmed further. If the price breaks above resistance, it will be confirmed further. So a break below 64,150, however, would shift the focus towards lower prices in the white count. Now, this is obviously a very dynamic situation. We're dealing here with micro counts. The preference can change from 1 minute to another, depending on what happens on the 30-minute chart. I can tell you right now, the market is testing micro support, and we had a 3-wave decline from the intraday high, which means that it's possible that we are getting a low here in orange wave 2. Further confirmation for the orange count, would be at least a break above the intraday high. And if that support area breaks at 64,150, we'll likely see a test of the lower support area and a larger B-wave pullback. But even then, the price could attempt another rally higher once this larger B-wave pullback is finished. And that should give you all the information you need here in the short term, medium term on Bitcoin and the wave structure and support and resistances. I hope it was helpful. If you're interested in additional updates, I also recommend that you have to follow us on X, if you like to, of course. It's the More Crypto Online channel, because here I publish a lot of additional charts, exclusive videos. There are also some news and much other stuff that you can find here. mindset discussions, and so on. Also here, for example, Elliott Wave cheat sheets can be found here, things that I do not post or share here on YouTube. So feel free to check it out. There's a lot there to discover. And it's the More Crypto Online channel, the one with the golden check mark. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.